Well, hello and a warm welcome to this week's Racing Postcast, brought to you by the Racing Post, sponsored by Unibet. On a busy weekend of racing, obviously everyone looking forward to the big one over in Paris, the Qatar Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. But we're going to be covering some of the domestic action here on Saturday. ITV have got 8 races from Newmarket, Redcar and Ascot this weekend. But don't worry, at the end of the show, we will be getting into a preview of the Arc and any other selections we may have from France or elsewhere over the weekend. Joining me this week on the show is the Racing Post Robbie Wilders and Matt Gardner. And we also have from Unibet, the super sub himself, Brett Williams. Brett, in a car at the moment. Where are you at this moment in time?
I'm actually just parked out about 100 metres away from the entrance at Warwick and looking forward to a good afternoon there. But actually, do you know what? It's funny I'm sat in the car because I'm feeling really lucky this weekend to me. So my luck is definitely in. So I've got all 9 winners for you today. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Right, so anything that the Racing Post experts say is a load of garbage. Brett's got all the winners for you. No, not at all. We've got our 2-year-old handicapper on this week's show with a 2-year-old trophy. It couldn't be more perfect time. Let's get into the racing then, gents. We start off at Newmarket. They've got 3 races there, and the first of which is the one for the British EBF Premier Fillies Handicap, a Class 2 event over a mile 2. And the market with Unibet currently looks like this. Minhuna's the 11-4 favourite. Ashriba is 5-1. Warder Jamilis 11-2. Noisy Jazz is 15-2. Treasure 17-2. 12-1 and bigger. The rest of the field. Robbie Wilders, I'll come to you first on this one. We start off with a decent looking Fillies handicap. Was there one that caught the eye?
Yeah, massively. I couldn't believe those prices because I looked at this race without the benefit of prices, thinking that Carmology would be an awful lot shorter than sort of 14-1. I think class counts a lot for these sort of handicaps. I mean, we saw it last week with Liberty Lane bolting up in the Cambridgeshire. There's a load of top weights winning these good handicaps at the moment. Carmology is the class source in this field. She keeps getting absolutely smashed up in the betting in any race she runs in. At Yarmouth last time in the John Musker Stakes, she went off 5-2. In the morning of the race, she was at 8 or 9-1. She was absolutely hammered. But the draw and a sort of track position didn't help her out at all. I'd be happy enough to put a line through that. If you judge her on her previous 2 listed runner-up finishes at York, I think she's got a massive chance here off 98. And I won't be too concerned about the ground, even though she's sort of been running on fast this season. But as we know from last weekend, Newmarket never really gets that testing, does it?
Not at all. She's the classy horse in this race, top weight in this handicap. Carmology currently around 14-1. Matt Gardner, welcome to the show. Who did you like in the opener?
Yeah, I mean, an obvious starting point, I think, is that Minhuna, who, I mean, if you told Connections after Sandown that she'd only go up £8, they'd have bitten your hand off. Like, they really would. She's obviously rapidly progressive. I mean, that form's nothing flash. It actually hasn't worked out very well. And you could argue that it sort of doesn't matter for a horse like her, who is just, really progressive. But, this is tougher, different ground. She's probably the best handicapped. It's just whether she's going to be able to show it or not. And she's short enough, probably, based on what she's done. I quite like Yorkshire Lady, who she won at Ayr last time. She beat 3-year-olds, 2 of whom arrived in really good form. The other was totally unexposed. She's gone up £3 for that, but she's still, I think, £4 lower than when she won at Ayr a couple of years before that. Ground's fine. Joe Mason's got a really good record on her. She's been on for 5 or 6 wins, I think. Excellent jockey as well. She's really good. The Easterby Yard form's a little bit of a concern. That's dropped off a little bit. They've had a cracking year, but not quite so hot the last sort of few weeks. But yeah, take on the Fav with a horse that's just, I know that she's well handicapped and she arrives in good form.
Yeah, Yorkshire Lady, another one, double figure price, 12-1 here. Yeah, the 2 unexposed ones are Minhuna and probably Noisy Jazz as well for James Owen and the Gredley family. Obviously, they had a great weekend last weekend, winning the Royal Lodge with Wimbledon Hawkeye. Great to see James Owen get a decent success there. Brett, we've got a couple of offers in this race here. Money back if second or third, and also the brand new thing we've been promoting on the show in recent weeks of the best industry price on this race. Is that right?
Yeah, so you get that from 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. Best industry price, all of the runners in this opening race at Newmarket 130. And as you just also pointed out, if you back the second or the third, you will get your money back as cash. I mean, just listen to you talk about that race a few minutes ago. You actually picked both the 2 horses that I was going to give a bit of a mention to. Obviously, Minhuna is the favourite here, and as you already alluded to, is short and probably market leader more out of how well it's regarded, but it's done nothing wrong in a couple of starts. Was very impressive at Sandown last time, and I think definitely sets a standard. Which has said that race hasn't really worked out. I do think Noisy Jazz though, around sort of like 8-1, I think at the moment is not a bad price at all. First run in the handicap. Holiday rise for James, and as you said, James's team are absolutely flying. I think he's got a 36% strike rate at the minute, which is obviously not to be sniffed at. They're obviously not quite sure about what trip this horse wants. It ran over a mile last time. It ran over a mile and a half the time before that in the Gold Trust at York, and back down to a mile and a quarter for the first time today. So I think a mile and a quarter, bit of cut in the ground, could suit Noisy Jazz, who's run a couple of nice races in defeat and makes its handicap debut today. But no, I think Mihuna could perhaps be a decent sort going forward.
Yeah, look, some good price there. Noisy Jazz 15-2, Yorkshire Lady 12 to 1, Comology also 12 to 1. Remember, money back is second or third in that race, and that's from 9 a.m. on Saturday morning, along with best industry price from 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Let's move on then, gents, to the 205, which is the £150,000 Tattersalls October Auction Stakes Class 2 event over 6 furlongs for the 2-year-olds, obviously. And currently, Unibet have Brighton Boy as their favourite 3 to 1. Twafig is 7 to 2. Authentico 4 to 1. The Dragon King is 15 to 2. Mort Point is 9 to 1. 12 to 1 about King of Angels and Aubergine, and 20 to 1 and bigger the rest. Looking forward to hearing the 2-year-old thoughts on the 2-year-old trophy later on. But best off going to Matt Gardner here, our 2-year-old handicapper on this auction stakes. Who do you like, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people tell you these sales races are a bit of a lottery, but, that's largely just because when you look at them, they're massive fields. They end up spread all over the track, and they look hard. But, often there's a couple that have just sort of a bit of a class edge. And I think the one that might have it is Twafig. She's really sharply bred. She sort of looked sharp when she made a winning debut at Donny. She beat Arabian Dusk that day, who was third in the Cheveley Park last time out. She's won a Group 2 or a Group 3, I think, since. 3 weeks after that debut, she went into the Albany and ran really well, considering it looked a bit of a culture shock for her. Like, it was a very quick turnaround for a horse that was light on experience. She finished 7th. She's been off since, and, she might have had a problem. It might just be that, physically, she's not an early 2-year-old. She's got plenty of size to her. So it might just be that they've given her a little bit of time to come to herself. At the weight, she looks pretty well in here compared to most of them. Typically for a sales race, a lot of these are sort of tilting at windmills a little bit. And yeah, I think she's probably going to be the best horse in this race.
Okay, Twafig, yes, 7 to 2 currently with Unibet. Brett, any opinion on this 2-year-old race?
Well, I can tell that we are paying 4 places each way, which might make it a little bit easier if you're looking at punting in this race. I mean, Brighton Boy is the interesting one. Got the cheap pieces on for the first time. I actually was at Goodwood when this horse was backed. Was absolutely smashed in the betting, but was very, very disappointing. Since made amends for that and come out and won 2 nice races since. And I think probably will handle the ground as sort of went on good to soft and easy ground at Chester. So the ground you wouldn't think would be too much of a concern. Unlike the Dragon King, who I see we have been a bit of support for Clive Cox's runner, but it was actually pulled out at Newmarket in August when the ground was soft. So there's got to be a slight question mark over the ground conditions for the Dragon King. I agree with everything about Twafig. I think this horse will probably win, as said, very unexposed. Just those 2 starts, and this is, if anything, a sort of step down in grade. And the form of that Doncaster win where she beat Arabian Dusk has obviously worked out very well. And just one more to bung into this, then more points. Only have the 2 runs, scored nicely at Salisbury on debut, wasn't disgracing the horn blow at Ripon last time. And, this seems I mean, we should say, of course, they're in this race because they've been through the sales ring, and depending on what price they make determines what weight they carry. And just think Mort Point could be quite interesting, having just had the 2 starts. But no, I think Twafig, could be something special. There's a strong fancy for me in that.
Okay, 2 solid votes for Twafig there, but a nice each way angle there with Mort Point. Robbie Wilders, any opinion on this race?
Yeah, let's bring on the hat trick. Like Twafig, I've thought very hard about putting her up in anti-postman. She was about a 10 to 1 for this race at the start of the week, but she also had the Redcar. She was dropped up at Redcar as well, so I sat it out. I'm a bit annoyed now because she's shorter, but yeah, I mean, the case is obviously quite clear. Beat Arabian Dusk on her debut impressively. That horse has got on to win a Group 2 at Newmarket and third in the middle part and the Cheveley Park. Sorry, I was on Twafig at Royal Ascot for a much better race than this in the Albany Stakes, but the sort of subsequent layoff tells you she probably surely wasn't right that day when finishing midfield. Maybe it came a little bit too soon, like Matt says. She's been given the time to develop. And yeah, she's definitely the class one here. 4-1 is probably quite fair in a field that sort of lacks this much in quality.
There we go, a hat-trick horse then this week, and not a really short price, but a decent price, around 4-1. Tofiq then a joint selection from the panel. Final race we look at from Newmarket then is the 240, which is the Group 1 Sun Chariot Stakes over a mile, where Unibet can't split the top two at the market. Inspiral and Tamfana are 5-2 joint favourites here. Nashwa 4-1, See the Fire 9-2, El Malka 15-2, and Darnation is 40-1. There are question marks around the top three in the market, really, aren't there? Inspiral, is she as good as she once was? Is she going to enjoy this soft ground? Tamfana, is she up to this level? Nashwa, we haven't seen this horse this season in the UK, last seen running in the Dubai Turf. And then the other three at bigger prices. Robbie, I'll come to you. What did you make of this race?
Cheers,
Were the top three worth taking on, or are they just classed than the rest?
Yeah, I looked at this at the start of the week, and I had it between the 3-year-olds, Tamfana and See the Fire. I can't have the Gosden fillies. I think Inspiral is past her best. I think Nashwell's going to badly need it. She's not been since running in Maidan back in March. If you just go back and look at the Guineas run with Tamfana, though, I think she has to edge it for me. There was obviously a big draw bias that day. She was in 4, everything else was in double figures, and she really should have won if she had got the splits at the right time under Jamie Spencer. She's obviously got nothing to fear at the course. Colin Keane, I'm not too worried about that first time jockey booking at all, Irish champion, and she obviously holds See the Fire on that Guineas form. I think See the Fire might be at her best on a bit of faster ground, whereas Tamfana, we know she handles a bit of cut. So I've actually starting to grow towards her and think 11-4 is actually pretty fair.
Yeah, out of the top three in the market, I thought Tamfana might be the one. I think you're right, Robbie. Nashwa's probably going to be aimed at the QE2, you'd imagine, on Champions Day, and this could be a prep run. But you never know. Things could go her way. I would say with Tamfana, I mean, I know it was over a mile 4, but she has got Group 1 form as well. The Grand Prix de Paris, where we'll already discuss that form later on the show when talking about the art. But Sosie, Eleanor, and Delius were the 1, 2, 3 in that, and she was just behind them. So, she is definitely up to that level. I'd say Tamfana might be the one in this. What did you make of it, Matt?
Yeah, I've sort of got problems with all of them, to be honest with you. Obviously, the top two, like you say, I don't think Inspira's looked the horse she was at all. Nashwa, it's not just Maidan, it's that QE2 run at the back end of last year was a bit of a shocker, to be honest, considering how sort of consistent she'd been before that. I'm not sure that there's loads more to come from Tamfana and El Malka. I sort of like the case for See the Fire, but that's sort of tempered a bit by the fact that she was on that travelator at York last time on that far rail. Like, it was just the place to be. I can sort of make a case for Darnation a little bit. This time last year, she was second favourite for the Marcel Boussac behind Opera Singer, who went off Fav for that. And we've only seen her 4 times since, I think. She won the German 1,000 Guineas. She, if it does come up a bit softer at Newmarket, she handles bad ground really well. She's a straightforward ride. There's a chance that she hasn't been maxed out a little bit yet. On form so far, she hasn't got a chance. But if she improves a little bit, and I've got question marks against the rest of them, it gives her a squeak. And I mean, it's not a race that I'd be getting too involved with, but I can make a case for her, put it that way.
Yeah, there is an angle to take on these top three for sure. Brett, what did you make of the Sun Chariot?
I think it's as you've already alluded to, it is a very wide open competitive race. This often slips under the radar, doesn't it? Because of course you just had the St. Leger meeting and all the big races at Newmarket last week, got the Arc as well, and this race tends to just get overshadowed. But it is a decent contest in its own right. I'm not having Inspiral at all. You've already alluded to the fact, I don't think she's quite as good as she was. She's had one run on soft ground, and that was in the Sussex when she was absolutely stuffed by, albeit Paddington. So she has got questions to answer, as the same story with Nashwa, which just brings me back to El Malka. I do like Tamfana. I thought she was impressive at Sandown last time. She was all the rage on that occasion, but again, she's just got to step up that other level. But I just think El Malka, she's ran 2 nice races, or okayish races, since her Guinness success in the Coronation and in the Nassau last time. She's stepping back down to a mile, which will obviously suit her. She's back on the track, of course, which she won the Guinness on. And I think she won't have any problem with the ground as well. She's by Kingman, and he won the Irish Guinness on sort of soft, heavy ground. So I wouldn't be concerned about the conditions for her. I mean, basically, with the likes of El Malka, for me, there are no excuses for her. She won the Guinness. She looks smart. She's perhaps not quite gone on as you'd like to see, but she's had a trip, which is your optimum. The ground should suit the track. We know suits. So for me, she's around six to 1. Hopefully it's decent value.
1,000 guineas. Heroin Al Malka then for Brett, a decent price in the Sun Chariot Stakes. There are the 3 races from Newmarket. Let's take a trip to Redcar for 1 race there. The 320.
Have you ever been to Redcar? You would want to take a trip there.
The 320 is the 2-year-old trophy over 6 furlongs, obviously for the 2-year-olds. Billboard Star is the 3-1 favourite here. Uncle Don 4-1. Francisco's Peace 15-2. Invictus Gold 17-2. Northern Ticker 10-1. 14-1. About plenty of the rest and bigger prices as well. There's only one man to go to really in this race, isn't it? Once again, the 2-year-old handicapper in one of the big 2-year-old races of the year. Redcar's big race of the season. Who did you like, Matt?
I like Francisco's Peace. I think he should be favourite. This race is often, it's a bit like a sales race in the sense that like if you're looking at a golf tournament and there's loads of people that don't have a chance, and then you can really rapidly narrow it down to like a few. This often is that where you get these 2-year-olds that aren't good enough to win a listed race, but they have a go because it's Redcar and it's decent prize money and all that sort of stuff. This is the same again. You could give Uncle Don a squeak, but on form, it's between Billboard Star and Francisco's Peace. And we know everything there is to know about Billboard Star. You sort of could argue the same about Francisco's Peace, but I think he's got a little bit more untapped potential. He's always looked like he wanted 6 furlongs, but he's only tried it once. That was in the Coventry on ground that he just didn't like. It was way too firm for him. Sort of 5 furlongs on soft ground was just about okay last time, but he was staying on really strongly. Back up at 6, he's drawn on the right side. Redcar, you want to be low, particularly if it's soft. It's often like a big advantage to be on that far side. So, on form, I'd have him favourite, and I still think he's got a bit more potential than Billboard Star as well. So, he's too big a price for me.
Yeah, solid vote then. 15-2, Francisco's Peace for Matt Gardner. There were nods of agreement, Robbie Wilders, when Matt was talking through Francisco's Peace.
Massively, yeah, big fan of Francisco. Billboard Star is a pretty short price favourite considering. I wouldn't really be wanting to back in too many horses off the back of running in that Mill Reef at Newbury on heavy grounds so soon after. That was absolutely appalling conditions. He's going to have a pretty good constitution to come off the back of that in this. I know he's quite well suited by the terms of the race, but he's never done a 3-figure RPR, and Francisco's Peace is the only horse that's done that, and yet he's 8-1. It just looks way too big. Got a nice draw. All his form is on testing ground. He's going to get that again. Untapped potential over 6. Yeah, I think he's a cracking each way price there.
2 solid votes for Francisco's Peace then. And Brett Williams, anything from Unibet here?
So we're 4 places each way to start with, if you're looking at backing each way. These races are a lottery, and obviously this time of year as well, towards the back end of the season, ground obviously plays a crucial part as well. I've narrowed it down to 2. Invictus Gold for Tom Clover and Ross Orion. I just think it's interesting that Ross is going up to Redcar when he probably could have been in quite a few places on Saturday. Tom and Ross have got a 25% strike rate together, which is obviously not to be sniffed at. His horse won its last 2, handles the ground, was impressive at Newmarket last time. So Invictus Gold, there's every reason to suggest that horse can go on. And then at an absolute massive price, I'm just looking down and see what price it is. I'm not sure what it is at the minute, but it's around 50-1. Do you like Willy Wonka? Are you a fan of candy?
Oh, well, yeah, of course. But
50-1.
You always like throwing an odd question there, here and there, Brett. Yeah.
Like to try and just keep you on your toes, Sam. Yeah. Won its last 2. I backed it when it just got up at Newbury. Then went out and followed up after that at where did it score at Ayr? Should handle the ground. Quite a tough, hardy customer. George Wood rides for Richard Spencer. Again, probably got to find a little bit to trouble the principles. But 50-1, we often see big prize horse finishing the money, and I might even be putting 50p each way on myself. Who knows?
There you go. Invictus Gold then is the main selection. Yeah, Ross Orion, he's in for a big weekend, isn't he? He's going to have a big Sunday as well with Blue Stocking and Kinross in Paris on Sunday. But Candy, 50-1, a treat there from Brett Williams. Right, that's it for part 1 of the show. We'll be back shortly after this Racing Post Insider ad with Ascot. Welcome back to this week's Racing Postcast, brought to you by the Racing Post, sponsored by Unibet. Sam Hart, Robbie Wilders, Matt Gardner, and Unibet's Brett Williams, spinning you through the weekend action. And off to Ascot now for 4 races there. And we start off with the 150, which is the Rous Stakes, a listed contest over 5 furlongs, which is Relief Rally. Nice and short of Unibet, 13-8 here. Beautiful Diamond, 130. Go Atletico, 9-2. Democracy Dilemma, 11-2. Mia Harris, 9-1. And Rumstar, 10-1. We had a really good discussion the last time Relief Rally ran and said that she could be a really solid bet if she came back to her form that she had been showing. And I think there is still an element of ability there. And you can't help but be impressed by that last run. And the winner, no half measures, is probably going to go out to Longchamp for the Abba, and they're going to take a chance there. And I think Anaf, who finished third in that race, that was a good trial for the Champion Sprint Stakes on Champions Day. I generally think it wasn't actually the worst race. And if Relief Rally can just improve from that on the soft ground we're likely to get Ascot, I think she'll just be too tough to beat. I don't know how you saw it, Robbie, and whether Relief Rally was just a solid favourite here.
Yeah, sort of a bit like a Billboard Star. I'd be worried about horses that ran so soon after that heavy ground Newbury card. She obviously did run well there. She's the one to beat on that form. But I don't know. Is there a chance that she might come out and go for the Abbe as well? Because I know William Haggis was considering that. That's obviously the day after. She is the one to beat, but I just thought the one that was underestimated was Go Atletico for Adrian McGuinness. The ground is absolutely key to this horse. It's quite interesting he's even turning up. He only ran 6 days ago at the Curragh. Conditions were against him. You're not. It's not really worth judging him on that for me. And the same again in the Flying 5. But all his best performances have come on soft or heavy ground. He's a proper 110 performer when he gets those conditions, and I don't think anyone here is any better than 110. So I think he's probably worth chancing at the odds.
Okay, one from Robbie Wilders. I'm just having a look here, but Relief Rally, I can't see her in the market currently for the Abbe. Whether she was taken out this morning, I don't know. But I will
she's taken it. Oh, fair enough.
I will just check that as we go through.
Yeah, I'm just going off. I'm going off quotes from Haggis earlier in the week. I know.
Yeah, no, I'll have a look for you, Robbie. Don't worry.
Because for instance, See the Fire has been declared for both.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. Yeah, you're going to have that. Matt, what did you make of this race?
Yeah, I was with you, Sam, to be honest. I like Relief Rally. I take Robbie's point about a quickish turnaround after Newbury. It was like desperate on it that day. I think the key to this is the setup. Democracy Dilemma. We know what he's going to do. He's only run at Ascot once. That was in the Windsor Castle as a 2-year-old. And I can see why they've avoided it, because everything that Democracy Dilemma is about, like, it doesn't really suit Ascot, does it? And, if he goes pretty hard, they sort of did that at Newbury, and Relief Rally was running on really well late. Her previous PB to that came at Ascot. I sort of half like Rumstar, but not on the ground, like all his better forms being on better ground. So, I found it hard to get away from Relief Rally, to be honest with you.
Okay, Relief Rally for Matt then. And Brett Williams, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think I agree with Matt as well. Relief Rally was the filly that I just came down to. Almost sort of out of default, really. You're looking at horses that obviously are going to go on the ground, and she does handle it. It's amazing, really, how she does handle soft ground, because she's minuscule. She's absolutely tiny. I mean, you'd think she actually wouldn't have trained on. I mean, she probably hasn't trained on quite as well as you would have hoped. But I mean, I remember talking to Maureen Haggis after she won up at York last year, and we were giving her quotes for the Guinness, and she said, listen, she's not a Guinness filly at all. She is genuinely a 2-year-old. But, she's ran a couple of nice races, albeit in defeat this season. It's strong in her form, and I think she sets the standard. This is a good opportunity for her, I think, to get her head back in front. The other one, Beautiful Diamond, is the horse that comes into the equation for me. So you wouldn't think would have too many issues with the ground, and again brings some reasonably strong form into race. We said that form behind Brad Sell's, pretty smart. But no, I think it'd be nice to see Relief Rally get her head back in front, and who knows, they might decide to retire out back at the end of the season. But the good news is we are price boosting a horse in this race from 12 o'clock midday. Gotta get that in.
12 o'clock midday, the price boost will come in that race there. Said to you by Brett Williams. I have just checked on France Gallop's website, make sure it kind of links up to the Racing Post. And yeah, Relief Rally will not run in the Abbe. But you guessed, Robbie, that would be just due to the fact this could be much easier task than the Abbe on Sunday.
Yeah, I totally agree. totally agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I can remember seeing the quotes that they said they may go for the Abbey, but they've obviously seen this as an easier contest, and I think she might just take the beating in the 150 the Rous Stakes. Let's move on to the 225 then, which is the Cumberland Lodge Stakes, the Group 3 contest over a mile and a half. Well, RC is 9-4 favourite. Joint favourite is actually Val Kareem. Hamish is 4-1. Salt Bay is 15-2. God's Window is 11-1. Gather Your Rosebuds is 12-1. Lafayette is 22-1. And Peking Opera is 40-1. Joint favourites here, Al RC and Al Kareem. Matt Gardner, what do we make of these at the top of the market?
Well, Al Arce is a horse I'm always keen to take on. Like, you know, he's just the sort of horse that the first sign of pressure, I still think he's going to crumble at some point. He's had things go his way the last twice. Hamish is a horse, he just looks past his best to me. Salt Bay going on soft ground might help him a bit, but he's looked a bit wayward, like increasingly wayward, to be honest, to me as well. So I was kind of with Al Kareem, who, you know, he's a horse, he's sort of struggled a bit this year. Like he was running okay, but not really like firing on all cylinders a little bit. But this time last year, he won at Chester, then he came and won this race. Like at his best, he's just a really game horse that's really hard to pass. And he's just the sort of horse that's gonna crack Al Arce, who's a pretty suspect character. So yeah, fancy Al Kareem to repeat what he did last year.
Al Kareem, yeah, the out of the top three in the market, the youngest in the out of the three at 5 years old. Hamish is 8 years old, which baffles me. It doesn't seem that long ago this horse was running as a 3-year-old, so making me feel old there. Brett Williams, who did you like here in the Cumberland Lodge?
Well, I agree with everything you've said about Hamish. He's perhaps not quite as good as he was, but again, he's a horse that does love the ground. He's won 7 times when it's been sort of good to soft or heavy, so he's got his optimum conditions. Perhaps he was a bit disappointing last time at Kempton, but that was in a good race. I can't think of the name of the winner there. Cal Pan is obviously going to be going off to Ascot on Champions Day. Has been very well backed, I should say, with Unibet as well. We have seen a lot of support since declarations for Hamish. I'm not having Al Arce. I don't think he'll go on the ground. I agree with everything that Matt's just said with regards to, I mean, I think he got Jim Crowley out of trouble when he scored at Goodwood on his penultimate start. He just seems to win these races just when he's not really got to get into a battle. I think he might get into a bit of a battle today or this weekend. And that again brings you to the Carbrook runner Al Kareem, who wasn't far behind Al Arce 2 starts ago, one last time out, and one more. Lafayette comes over from Noel Mijon at a biggest sort of price. Was absolutely stuffed last time it was a Group 3 at Leopardstown. That was his first run for quite some time, so you'd expect him to come on for that. He's a big price, and obviously he's got to step up. I mean, he last ran in Bahrain, I think, in November, but it's just interesting they're coming over with him. I think that's got to be significant. He has got lots of experience. He's quite a hardy customer, so he could be picking at the pieces. But I'd like to see Hamish, you know, so let my heart rule my head. I'd like to see Hamish do it, but I do think that Al Kareem is the most likely winner.
Al Kareem most likely winning for Brett Williams. Robbie, I mean, Al Arce at the top of the market is taking on the last 2 winners now, Kareem and Hamish. It's going to be a difficult task. Are you with Al Kareem or Hamish, or do you think the favourite is solid?
Yeah, I don't like the top 3, mate. I think Al Arce's soft. I don't think he wants a slog. I think Al Kareem certainly wants a slog. I think he's somewhat limited, though. I've long held ambitions that Salt Bay is going to make up into a pretty decent horse. He was very closely matched with Hamish and Al Kareem when they're meeting the John Porter at the start of the season. There's only about a quarter length in it. I think Hamish has regressed since then. And Salt Bay, he needs to be fresh. All his best performances have been sort of off long breaks. He's coming off 4 months off. He absolutely loves cutting the ground. I think sort of 1 mile 4 at Ascot with a bit of dig is perfect for him. And you're getting a pretty decent price. And he's the younger horse and open to that little bit more improvement. So I think Salt Bay is interesting.
Take a chance with Salt Bay then for Robbie Wilders. Let's go on to the 3 o'clock then, gents. The 6 furlong John Guest Racing Bengough Stakes Group 3 contest where English Oak is 3-1 favourite. Giraffe is 4-1. Pura Sangway is 9-2. A Day in Devon 11-2. The Dream is 15-2. And double figures bar these. I've been really interested. I've been hoping with the Dream that once this horse gets some really soft ground that the horse will turn out to be quite a decent horse and appear in one of these at a big price. I was actually thinking at one stage the Champion Sprint Stakes on Champions Day on soft ground, this horse could appear at a big price. But I don't know. I was going to take a chance with the Dream if it stayed on the soft side. Matt, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good race, this. Like, you know, I mean, English Oak was obviously really impressive at Royal Ascot. He's sort of looks in danger of going the wrong way now, to be honest. Giraffe is a horse who I really like. He's been really progressive and impressive, to be honest, the last twice. I'm not sure he's going to want softer ground, though. Is a bit of a concern for him. I really like Wiltshire. I think he's sort of 12s there or thereabouts. He is conditions dependent. He wants soft ground, or he wants to be on the all weather. He didn't quite get away with 5 furlongs last time. I thought he might do on bad ground, but he didn't. Going back up to 6 is the obvious play with him. I'm not one to look at entries that people make and kind of deduce too much from it. But Haggis has still got him in the Champions Sprint, and you know, Haggis is obviously brilliant, but I think he's a lot more shrewd than people give him credit for as well, to be honest. And you know, that's sort of fairly significant, I think, for him. The only thing that's stopping me being all over this is the fact that it's a quickish turnaround for a horse that hasn't had to deal with that very often in his career. He's generally had his racing spread out a little bit more. But other than that, I think the setup is absolutely ideal for him.
Yeah, Wiltshire, big price here. Currently looking at 10-1 with Unibet, and ran last week and it was a fair effort. But 6 furlongs, I definitely agree with Matt. This might suit this horse down to a T. Robbie, to you, who did you like?
Yeah, Wiltshire's interesting. I'd look at the start of the week, but I thought it's not really Haggis' style to run him quickly after a big run. It'd be interesting to see how he goes. That Group 1 entry is intriguing about him. This is actually, I thought this would cut up a bit more. It's turned into quite a hot race. I'm on English Oak Anti-Post. I'll stick with him but he does have a couple of questions to answer. I'm hoping that the fact that he's back at Ascot is the main thing. I mean, he obviously won the Buckingham Palace really impressively earlier in the season. A couple of excuses sort of came to light since then. I think the Lennox Stakes was a bit of a farce, really. The first 2 in those positions throughout. Nothing really got into it from being held up. I thought he was slightly back on track at Newbury last time, over 7 behind Witness Stand. I think that horse looks a potential Group 1 horse over 7 furlongs if he keeps improving the rate he is. 6 furlongs at Ascot, soft ground, Jamie Spencer aboard. I think he should really be in the 3, and he's probably a bit less than each way price now. But English Oak, although it's pretty open.
Okay, English Oak then for Robbie Wilders, and Brett Williams for you in the Bengough Stakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky, isn't it? I agree with everything you said about Wiltshire. Is obviously the interesting contender here, and you'd expect it to strip fitter from that run last week. But again, you're just slightly concerned about the bounce factor and the fact it hadn't run since June. So that is a worry, bearing in mind it is coming back so quickly. English Oak is the one that you sort of naturally come to. Was perhaps a little bit unlucky last time at Newbury, but I think the thing to take from him is the fact he's had 3 runs at a pattern level and been beaten on each occasion. So perhaps he's just a pretty smart handicapper, albeit this isn't a massive field, so it might not be that competitive. I mean, I've not got a particularly strong opinion. Pura Sang bounced back to form last time to run a good second, having been very, very well backed in the Stewards Cup up at Goodwood. I don't like this race very much. If you had to ask me for a selection, English Oak would be the one I'd probably go for.
Okay, English Oak then, tentative selection then for Brett Williams. Let's go on to a really competitive handicap, gents. The Challenge Cup at 3:35 at Ascot, 7 furlongs, the trip here. Class 2 event, and Kirat is currently topping the market 5-1 with Unibet. Fresh is 6-1, Volterra 13-2, Germanics 9-1, Carry the One 11-1, Acadian Thunder 12-1, 14s. Bar these. Worth noting here that Kirat is currently the anti-post favourite with Unibet for the Balmoral at 7-1. Definitely has the ability to be one of those group horses in a handicap. Robbie, do you think Kirat is a horse where we could see this horse maybe next season turn out to be a group performer?
Yeah, it could well be. I mean, there's not a massive gap anyway between sort of top handicapper and group performer nowadays. And he's got the pedigree, hasn't he? He's a half to Blue Stocking, who's obviously going for the Arc on Sunday and has come into her own this season. The draw is obviously going to be a big thing in this race. I'm reluctant to commit towards where the best side it is to be. The last time the ground was heavy, though, the 3 you ran on the far side were absolutely miles clear, so low numbers. I'm not going to, as I say, I'm not going to commit to anything, but I've got one single figures, one double figures at big odds. The first is United Approach, who I don't really understand why is 28-1. Loves soft ground, ran a promising race I thought off a break over course and distance in a classified race last time to sort of tee himself up for this. The horse that won that, Lord Bertie, was quite smart a couple of years ago, sort of bounced back to form. But I think there was a lot of interesting horses in that race, even though it was a classified race. I think he's interesting for James Tate in the first-time cheap pieces. And the other one was William Haggis's second string, Brewing. Very likely race for a 5-year-old. He's only raced 8 times. Only made his turf debut at Doncaster last month, but I thought there was a bit of promise in that, and served notice that he was going to come forward for it significantly. It was his first run since January. That proved he can handle conditions, and Hayley Turner, not a bad booking at all on the straight track at Ascot. Could see him going well at a price too.
Yeah, Brewing 18-1, United Approach 28-1 in here. My eyes always draw in a 7 furlong mile handicap at Ascot to any David O'Meara runner. He's got 4 in the field currently. Matt, what did you look at in this race? Were the O'Meara runners interesting, or were you away from them?
Yeah, I think there's a few of them that are quite. There's a lot of horses that are interested in this, to be honest. I echo Robbie's thoughts on United Approach. I think profile-wise, definitely interesting. I like Volterra's profile. Only slight concern with him is that they might go a bit hard because he ran a better race last time when they made the running on him, and a race like this you can end up doing a bit too much in front. The draw is obviously interesting. Like Robbie said, low draws there last time were significant, but high draws, we've seen it loads of times when the ground gets soft at Ascot. You kind of want to be near side, so it's tricky to weigh up. I like Popmaster, who is more exposed than a few of these, but he's got a really good record at Ascot. Probably at his best on ground softer than good. Generally struggled a bit this year, but his marks come down as a result. Yeah. And he ran in the Hungerford on his penultimate start, and for a long way, ran really well. He raced on his own, which might have been an advantage actually as it went. But forget last time, he missed the break and things just didn't go his way. He's come back down the weights. He's a couple of pounds lower than when he was second in this last year. He's the sort of horse that just runs. These are his ideal races, really. So it's really open. But I thought Popmaster was interesting at a bigger price.
Yeah, Popmaster around 16-1 with Unibet currently, and Brett Williams. Are a couple for you in here?
Yeah, we're paying 5 places each way. Which obviously makes it a little bit easier. These sort of races, you tend to get the same horses that are backed all the time, and the horse that fits into that category in this race is Fresh. There's always money for Fresh. He's he loves the course. I think he's won at the track 4 times. He won last time. He's £2 high. He beat Tacker Bay last time. He went and run up at Ripon last week. Didn't do a great amount for the form, so that's not the strongest. The one I come to around 16-1 is Golden Mind. Only had 2 starts this term. Most recent of those was his first run after being gelded, so he's got a lot less weight to carry on this occasion. See what I did there?
Right. Yeah. Go on, carry on.
Anyway, he's off the same mark. Golden Mind. He's also £3 well in as well because it's an early closer. So yeah, Golden Mind for me, and what's as you'd expect, a wide open contest. But as we said, Unibet are paying 5 places each way.
5 places, some big prices there from the panel. So there's plenty of each way angles that you can go with there. And let us know down in the comments who you like in the Challenge Cup at Ascot. Right, we're going to take a short break now. After that, we're going to be heading off to Paris for the Arc de Triomphe, along with our bets elsewhere and our best bets for the weekend.
Want betting on the horses to be anything but flat? With an app that impresses every time out. You're on. Want to watch live streaming of races in the UK, Ireland and around the globe? And get a chance to win even bigger with 3 Uniboosts every day on any horses you want. Unibet, you're on.
Welcome back to the final part of this week's Racing Postcast, brought to you by the Racing Post, sponsored by Unibet. You've still got Sam Hart, Robbie Wilders, Matt Gardner and Brett Williams. Now taking a trip over to Paris for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. An excellent weekend of racing, plenty of group races over at Paris Longchamp over the next couple of days on Saturday and Sunday. But we're going to preview the big one, the 320 on Sunday, which is the Qatar Prix l'Arc de Triomphe, mile and a half, Group 1 contest, where Unibet currently have Luc de Vega as the 4-1 favourite. Sosi is 9-2. Los Angeles 5-1. Shin Emperor, the Japanese Raiders, 6-1. Al Rifa 9-1. Delius is 10-1. Blue Stocking supplemented on Wednesday for a huge fee at 10-1. Aventure 14, 16s. But this is a really open arc. Sometimes we find a horse in here who can go off a really short price favourite, and we're all trying to take the horse on, but you can make cases for plenty of these in here. I think the most solid, and we've mentioned the form of the Grand Prix de Paris already, but the Grand Prix de Paris doesn't often end up being a really good arc trial, but I've got a feeling this year it will have been a really good arc trial. Sosi and Delius, for me, are the interesting ones. I think Sosi just really, really solid after that Prix-Niel run, and Delius has been running into the back of this horse constantly, and I think Delius is just going to appreciate soft ground if that's what comes up on Art Weekend. I hold a really good Blue Stocking anti-post ticket, but I'm just a little bit worried about her. I just don't know whether she's going to be up to the level of some of these at the top of the market. But like I say, it's an open arc. Anything can happen. But plenty of talk around this Japanese horse, Shin Emperor. A lot of people fancying this horse, especially one man who I spoke to in the office the other day, and that's Robbie Wilders.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, I like Shin Emperor. Don't like his draw too much in 11. He's going to need luck from there. But, I mean, there are still plenty of horses drawn wider than he is. Don't know if he got the best ride at Leopardstown, to be fair, in the Irish Champion Stakes. But, I mean, that has to go down as an unbelievable prep run, really, doesn't it? I mean, Augsburg Down and Economics were sort of peaking for that race. Shin Emperor, he was always going to come forward for it. His trainer didn't hide that one bit. I mean, Japan have been knocking on the door in this race for a while, haven't they? They're a real growing superpower in the racing world, and it's going to happen eventually. The one thing that normally puts me off with Japanese horses is a lot of them are sort of fast ground pedigrees, used to run on fast ground. This horse, he's a brother to Sotsas, so he's not going to have any issue whatsoever with testing ground. Sotsas won this on heavy in 2020. I think he's got an awful lot in his favour if he gets the splits.
Okay, Shin Emperor then. Yeah, the Japanese, this is an interesting one because this is one that, like Robbie said, will appreciate that soft ground. And Robbie's already mentioned the draw then. The last 10 years, I think there's only been 3 winners at double-figure draw numbers. So, you know, it is a benefit to be a lower stall. But, like, you look at the horses who have won from those higher stalls, Golden Horn being one, Found being one, and then most recently the Torquato Tasso run was drawn in 12. So it is a benefit to be drawn low, but like I say, an open art like this, anything could happen. Which way did you look in this, Brett Williams?
Again, it's always a great race. There's not so much British representation. Good job, obviously, Aidan O'Brien, and then Rafe Beckett supplemented Blue Stocking. I agree with everything that Rob has said. Whether she's going to be quite good enough over a mile and a half, I know she won the Vermeer over this trip last time, but in a proper race of this nature, that is going to be a slight question mark for me. There's no doubt about that. Shin Emperor is our biggest loser on the card. Just talking to our traders a little bit earlier on, a lot of money for this horse. Just he's slightly out in price a little bit now, around sort of 6-1, but did go into as short as 11-4. So real strong support for the Japanese Raider, as indeed that there always is. I'm not convinced about Luc de Vega. First try over a mile and a half last time behind Sosi in the Prix-Niel. Didn't quite get home, having shown his best form over a mile and a quarter. So Sosi for me is definitely the more solid horse in this race. 3-time course and distance winner, goes on the ground. As we said, has beaten Luc de Vega. Trained by the master in Andre Fabre. And there's too many ticks in the right boxes for me for Sosi. I'd love to see Blue Stocking win. I mean, fair play to Connections for supplementing her, but again, I would have a few reservations about her. And then obviously Los Angeles stepping back up and trip off the back of a good run behind Economics over a mile and a quarter, which you would have assumed. I mean, you can't say the Irish Champion is a prep race, but that wouldn't have been his derby, so to speak. But I think Sosi will take all the beating here.
Yeah, I think Sosi is solid. I would have Sosi a tiny bit shorter, actually, if I was a bookmaker here. But those last 2 wins are just as solid as you like. And Maxime Guillon is some jockey. I'm a massive fan of the jockey, and he needs this to kind of tick off the Group 1s that he wants to win in his career. So I'll be with Sosi. What about yourself, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good race, isn't it? But there's nothing that really stands out to me. I can absolutely see the case for Sosi, but I'm not. I haven't watched it and kind of thought, oh, it's definitely going to win an arc, if you know what I mean. It's open. I mean, there's 2 big prices that I think are too big. and that's Zarakem and Continuous, who, Zarakem, the second to Auguste Rodin doesn't make him a 40s plus poke like at all, I thought he'd run quite well in the international, and he didn't at all. I think it was probably something not right actually that day. He's a lot better than that, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ran pretty well here. Continuous obviously was expected to win that trial, and he didn't, which is it's obviously disappointing. But the way that O'Brien campaigns these horses, I think, is almost more significant than anything else. And he's sort of been campaigned like they thought he was going to be an arc / like back-endy type horse. And it wouldn't be at all unlike O'Brien to leave loads to work on. And the fact that he got beat, a lot of trainers are almost afraid for their horses to get beat. O'Brien just isn't. Like, he runs them. If they get beat in Group 1s or whatever, like, he's not bothered. And I think I wouldn't be too put off by that at all. And on form, he's not 33s, 25s, whatever he is. So the draw's tricky. I think he's in 14 or 11.
Yeah, he's 14.
Yeah, he's drawn wide, which isn't ideal. But yeah, nothing stands out to me. So I'd be happy enough to have a few stabs at bigger prices.
Okay, yeah, one in store one, which is Zarakem, 50 to 1 currently. Jerome Rainier has been talking this horse up a fair bit as well, and Demuro's on board. A pretty decent booking there, and Continuous drawn in store 14. Crystal Sumion riding there, 33 to 1 for Aidan O'Brien. So there's our thoughts on the Arc this weekend. I'm just going to get other selections elsewhere. These can either be from anywhere in the UK or Ireland on Saturday or Sunday, or could be from France on Saturday or Sunday. Like I say, we've got so many group contests and good group contests out in France over the weekend. Robbie, is there anything else you're looking forward to having a look at and having a bet on this weekend?
I'm looking forward to going to Centre Parks on Monday, mate. That's about it. But...
nice. Yeah, you'll have a good time. You will have a good time. Is there anything, any other races that you have had a look at over the weekend?
I mean, I have, yeah, but not really come down on any selections just yet.
Okay, fine. Matt Gardner, you must have had a good look at some of these group contests out there.
Yeah, 6:45 Southwell on Saturday. Spirit of Applause. He's been a frustrating horse. Often shapes better than result. He travels well, sort of doesn't see his races out. But he won a 0-70 at Beverley back in August. That was the first time for over a year that he'd run in a race that you might like describe as being his correct grade. He's often run like in 0-85s, 0-90s, 0-95s, and he's kind of just not quite up to those. Like that's almost more important than kind of your handicap mark sometimes. He ran in the Bronze Cup last time. He was third on his side, the near side, which was unfavoured. This doesn't look a good race at all, to be honest. And it's not that long since he was running pretty well off like low to mid 80s, and he's down to 71. So, it's not exactly inspiring in the context of this weekend. But yeah, I think he might be a good bet.
I was going to say, Group 1's all over the show and decent racing everywhere. But don't worry, 6:45, Class 5 handicap, sprint handicap at Southwell on the Tapita, Spirit of Applause from Matt Gardner. That's just the way to do it. Brett, was there anything else that you've looked at for the weekend? I mean, there's some good horses obviously running over in France this weekend, but have you had a bet on anything?
I just thought it was interesting when Matt said this time of year, I always start to turn my attentions to, and I thought he was going to say the jump racing, and he said the all-weather. I mean, the jump racing not far around the corner.
No. Ready for Maidan soon, won't we? We'll be ready for Maidan soon.
Yeah, not long. There's a good card from your Toxter actually on Sunday. There's quite a good little 2-mile novice chase there. A few horses run over fences for the first time. Interesting one there called Uncle Bert, who's a son of Pedders Moon, who was quite a smart hurdler. So hopefully he'll run a nice race. And then of course we've got Unibet Jump Seasons opener next week as well from Chepstow. Just give you a market mover or a strong mover on the card at Longchamp. Ylang. Real strong money for that one in the Prix de l'Opera into 11 to 4 from 12 to 1. So significant money for Ylang in the Opera.
Okay, yeah, significant money in the Opera there. I mean, there's only one horse that I'd be interested in. I haven't had a bet on this horse. I don't know whether I will, but I mean, Ramatuel in the Prix de la Forêt against Kinross. They've literally had this horse lined up for this race and took a massive break ready for this. So I wouldn't say the 4 to 1 on offer is too bad at this moment in time, but I need to have a real look at the race before deciding whether I'm going to have a bet on her. But yeah, Kinross versus Ramatuel looks a good race in the Prix de la Forêt at 4:40 on Sunday. Right, let's get the naps then, gents, for the weekend. Who is the best bet on the cards across the ITV action on Saturday? I'll start with you, Matt Gardner.
3:20 Redcar, the 2-year-old trophy, Francisco's Piece. Massive price, way too big, should be favourite.
Francisco's Piece then for Matt in the 2-year-old trophy at Redcar. Robbie Wilders.
The nap is 130 Newmarket Carmology, 14 to 1. I can't see that being around, to be honest.
30 in Newmarket Carmology then for Robbie Wilders. Brett Williams for you.
So I'm going in the feature race at Newmarket, the Sun Chariot at 240. Al Marker, the 1,000 Guinness heroine. Hopeful she can bounce back to form. She's down in trip. She should go on the ground. And for me, Al Marker in the feature race at Newmarket, where we will be super boosting all of the runners in that race as well.
El Malka, then Sun Chariot for Brett Williams. I'm going to go in the 150 at Ascot, the Rous Stakes. I want to go with Relief Rally, who ran a really good race last time out in Newbury. Second on heavy ground. This soft ground won't be a problem. I think this horse is just going to continue to improve. 13 to 8 currently the price. It's a short price, but I think it's as solid as it gets. And Relief Rally will win the Rous Stakes at 150 at Ascot. Right, big thanks to the panel as always, Robbie Wilders, Matt Gardner and Unibet's Brett Williams. We'll be back again next Thursday at 7 p.m. with another weekend preview. As always, do like, comment, share and subscribe, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.